Morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Advancing Your Commercial Insurance Department. My name is Anae Augustini. I am CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I thank you for joining us today. I am humbly going to share some of my many years, 30-something years of experience in running building a commercial insurance department. I'm a wholesaler, and hopefully, those of you that do business with us, we appreciate your business. And those of you who are just looking in for the first time, I hope that you'll try us out going forward. But we use these systems in our own company, and I also as a wholesaler, and then I also use them when I used to retail years ago. So I know what shoes you walk in and understand them very well. So let's get started. And by the way, everyone's on mute, so feel free to chat. Any questions, you can chat them in while we're going through the webinar. I'll stop and answer your questions as we go. But that's really important. I really want to know if you have questions. I want to know what you're thinking. So use the chat because there's too many of you to put us all on the line together. So anyways, the balancing act. So when you're looking at your agency, the key here is to really look at, do you have a balance of personal lines, life, and commercial lines? Many a time when you get started as in an agency, a lot of the emphasis gets placed on personal lines because that's just the easiest place to start. However, it is the heaviest on service, and ultimately the goal should be to graduate into commercial and build a book of commercial that's at least equal, if not greater, than your personal lines book. I'm a big proponent for commercial. I think it's more stable, less service, and then you always have that element of life, which, you're either a life agent or you're not, right? So you may dabble in it, but so your emphasis, again, should be a commercial insurance. Okay, so right off the bat, we're going to talk about what we call the sales equation. X date plus presentation plus close equals sales. So I know this is, I've been around a long time. Everyone's come up with some kind of, sales pitch way to think about sales. But this one is really, really basic, and it's really good for the insurance industry. And I didn't come up with this. Someone I know very well, Jim Augustini, who's part of our company, came up with it many years ago. So X date is going to be the gathering of expiration dates of prospects that you could actually, insurance prospects that you could go after. And so you have to be doing a lot of X dating in order to get enough presentations, right? And that's a presentation to the insured in the form of an insurance proposal. And then obviously you have to close the business. You may make the presentation. You could get a close on the spot, but you have to close. You have to do a close with every prospective insured. And then ultimately getting that close is the bind, and it equals the sale. So it's as simple as that, but you have to pay attention to all parts of this equation in order to be successful. Okay, so let's talk about the X date. I call this, it's sort of like creating risk profiles. Years ago, we used to do it manually. We used to have files set up by month, and then you'd have a 10-week file where you were working 10 weeks out. So the idea is, and you have to start somewhere, and you can do this electronically. It doesn't have to be, but I mean, you get to pick. We do everything electronically now, and so, but we create organized filing systems electronically. And you need a system, and you need it to be organized. Otherwise, it's really hard to implement and achieve goals that you set. So the idea is to what we call data mine, which is going after getting as many X dates, and that's sometimes hitting the streets, sometimes calling businesses in the area, and you're going to participate in network groups. A POS, point of sale, is another way. Like you could go after a property management company, get write their insurance, and then they have a whole series of properties that they manage that you could actually. So they're a point of sale opportunity to write a lot of business in one place. And then trade organizations is always really important. If you want to focus on a certain class of business, attend functions at a trade organization. But the idea is to get as many X dates and develop what we call risk profiles on each of these. So gathering enough information so you know what you've got, and then filing, working them 10 weeks out on 10 weeks before the X date. So you would need to file them, in a by date, expiration date, so that you could work them 10 weeks out. Let me know if you have any questions as we go along. Okay, so talk about this risk profile we're talking about creating. What should you include in it? So ideally, as much information as you can. A lot of you already understand this, but more is better in this situation. Not always achievable easily, but more is better. So you want a business risk profile. We've got some of them on our website, and I'm building more of them where it's more of a questionnaire, not an application necessarily, but a questionnaire where you're gathering information on that company. If they have an application, like if you're looking at a professional where they've already completed an application or have the application from the previous year, you can work off of. It's always good to gather that information. Photos on the risk, the carrier deck page is definitely important. If you can get those loss runs, that's always a good thing. We can quote subject to, but that's how many credits do you want to apply? Give us as much information as possible. And then your carrier quotes, proposals to insured, an invoice, and a finance agreement. So these are kind of things that you want to have prepared on an X date that you're going after. And frankly, we'll talk a little bit more about. And then you can go after these year after year. Maybe you don't get it this year. You just keep it in your X dates and go after it next year, and you'll know better how to achieve success. Okay. So now you're submitting something for a quote to a carrier. How do you get your underwriter to say yes? So I know our underwriters in our office, they have been, they're very experienced, and they are always thinking about how to get the carrier to say yes, right? So that's the same thing for you with us when you're submitting to us or any other carrier that you're appointed with. You need to know your risk, right? You need to build a storyline that dictates why you would need max credits applied, why this risk is not out of the box, that it fits the program that you're trying to get coverage for, and then be able to give them the reasons that make sense to write the business. So and then you might need some documentation to support it. Of course, you're going to need to look at things like websites. Websites are, one of the killers these days, because you know that the carrier will go look at the website, and you want to be able to be ahead of them on that aspect of it as well. Okay, so now you're going to make a presentation to your client. It's really important to know who your prospect is. I've got 4 different personalities here, and we'll start with Rambo. It's very, very aggressive, assertive, and they sort of shoot from the hip. they can make a decision on the spot. They don't get, wish-washy, and you need to give them more proposals, like 3 proposals, for them to compare, because they will make a decision on the spot. They can manage 3 proposals and decipher between the 3. So then let's move over to the opposite of that, which would be Jimmy Fallon. And I'm not saying this is personally who he is, but it's sort of it's indecisive, wants your opinion on what you think is the best choice. Like he's looking to trust you so that he can move past, and make the decision. And then they're very, very open to your recommendations. With that, Rambo is not. Rambo wants to make the decision himself. So in this case, it won't take as many proposals. 1 proposal will most likely do it with this type of personality. So you need to know who your personality, or figure it out very quickly, if you're finding out in the moment. But possibly 2 proposals with Jimmy would work. But let's move on to Anderson Cooper. He's very analytical. He really needs time to think about it. Does not want pressure, and doesn't really want, they want to figure it out themselves. So this kind of personality, you would want to be able to provide a very analytical kind of presentation. So if you left 2 proposals, you're going to want to make sure that you've got a lot of, like, a comparison, information that they can analyze and come to a decision on their own. So, and you would definitely have to make a return appointment for this kind of personality. And then we have Kim Kardashian. She's very trendy, likes the latest and greatest, and is very, fashionable, keeping up with the Jones kind of thing. And so that kind of person, you're going to want to make a very fancy, impressive presentation, which means you maybe pull out the nice lemon paper for the presentation. You're going to put it in a nice presentation folder. And I'm big on doing that, period. But you're going to put a little more effort into this. So you're and interesting about this one, it's not about pushing the sale. It's about being her friend. So that things you need to know your personalities, because that's really what, in the end, what it all comes down to. Oops. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay. More about the presentation. Let's do, as I just mentioned, a professional laid out proposal, but that's not just, you want a nice structured proposal. If you need proposal templates, we've got a number of them that we are on our website under resources, under templates. So be sure to check that out. If you don't see what you need, you can always email me, and we'll make one for you, because we're good at it. We work off of templates in our office ourselves. So it makes it so much easier to do business. And efficiency becomes really important when you're trying to bring new business into your company. It's got to be organized. We've got to have systems. So you want to make sure that you've disclosed all the important information. There's things like inspection charges, broker's fees, the state taxes. Is there an audit? And I like to list the exclusions, because everyone thinks they're insured for everything, and it's always better to put it on the proposal, anything. And then if there's any subject to buying conditions, you will want to make sure that's all on the proposal. And we always put an invoice, and of course, if a premium finance option, if it's an agency bill type of policy that does not have a direct bill payment plan for it. But you need to be closing all the time, and the invoice and the premium finance options do that for you. So you're ready in the moment for them to order a bind from you. And then I'll also be aware of the required signatures. That's always, you can't get away from that because it's going to haunt you. My thing is, if you're going for a bind, you want to be able to have everything done right the first time, because we all know that if it doesn't get right the first time, it seems to be the one that keeps going, and causing problems. So get it right the first time. Okay, so let's talk about that close. You definitely want to meet with the client, if possible. That's really important, to be face to face with the client, to present and to close the sale. And you want to make sure you're separating out. It shouldn't be all about premium. You want to make sure you're really addressing coverage benefits, and why you would recommend one proposal over another, because those are two important things that too many of these insureds just are dollar conscious, and that does not equate to a good coverage necessarily. So know your value added propositions. You need to know what you're going to present and why. What's the value that you bring to your agency brings to the table, and what the coverage that you're proposing. Ask for the business. Don't hesitate, and then go for the close. Get the signatures and the payment, and get it done right the first time. Okay, securing the bind. Well, I have been talking about this, so this goes into a little bit more detail. You're just going to need to make sure that if you can get it on, subject to bind conditions, you want to be working towards that. If you can get a check and an agreement to bind, and they're not, you need to still collect a few things. I say get the signatures, assist with getting those loss runs, and get the signature on the terrorism form. So any and then obviously you're going to need the state required documents for non-admitted business. So that's as simple as it is. But you need to process your finance agreement in a timely manner, because we all know how what a pain that will do, because you're going to go collect another payment if you don't get that process right away. And then you want to make sure your policy is issued and paid once you've secured the bind, and then get proof of insurance to your client and thank them for their business. So these are all things that you guys probably do, but my whole thing here is to help you be better at what you do. And I'm going to say it again, systems are the smartest way to create efficiency and a structure that allows you to go after a lot of new business. Okay, how do you manage your new business? We say manage it weekly. And some of you may not manage it at all. So we track it, and I'm talking about tracking. How much production did you do? Well, this is years ago, we used to do it on a monthly basis, and you'd wait till the end of the month, and then by the time you took a look at it, it was probably 3 weeks into the following month. And it's so hard to turn the ship around when you're getting information on production late, way too far behind, when you need to know how you're doing. So we track by the week. So every, I think on Tuesday we publish the past week's production, and we publish it for the whole office. And I mean, you could track this easily on an Excel spreadsheet, or you may have an agency management system that you can print a production report out of, showing what new business was obtained and which producer was responsible for it. And you can see how they're doing. So, but weekly is by far, because you have to watch how you're doing. And some of you may not pay, there's people that don't pay any attention to new business. They're just working their service, which you need to be paying equal attention to new business production, because you're going to lose some of your ongoing book. And you're going to have to. You can't grow an agency without consistent new business production. Okay, so let's talk about managing that commercial book. New business first. So you want a marketing strategy, right? What is that? That's really seeing what, instead of things coming towards you, like these what I call bush call phone calls that come in that are very hard, generally very hard to place. It's hard, that they've already called a number of agencies and you're just, the only one that would listen or, whatever. But you have to learn that you've got to go after the business you want. And many of you probably have a strategy for that already. Pick some classes of business that you've done well with or you think you could do well with and go after it. We've got some broker marketing pieces that you can put your information on and, cross-sell. Go out and take one of these pieces and send it out with your renewal proposals. So I may talk about that. I may have a slide on that. But manage your commercial profiles. This is new business we're talking about. So you want to be working those brisk profiles those X dates that you're collecting. Follow the sales equation for each X date that you work on, and then set weekly goals for premium. And you need to grow your book. That's called PIF, policy in force count. That needs to be growing. Otherwise, your book is shrinking. And then increase your fee income with broker fees and premium financing. Okay, renewal business. Really important, especially, I'm really talking about commercial insurance here. I'm not talking about, some of these concepts can work from personal lines too, but and life, some of the systems. But really, I'm talking about commercial. Commercial is very stable. But you have to touch it. There's very less service. It's less service intensive. So you could easily go a year without talking to some of your insured. So treat every renewal like new business. Manage it by a report. Make sure that you either through your agency management system, you print out a monthly expiration list and you work your renewals. And you want to work them, it's at least 60 days out with initial contact. We're going to be contacting you. We contact you 60 days out for the most part, and then get your quotes out there, renewal quotes at 30 days with a 10-day follow-up. So know your retention and lapse ratios. You want to know how much business am I retaining and how much business am I losing. How much business am I losing in the first year? That's a really bad, that's new business you may want to take another look at and not go after more of that. New ventures can end up that way because it's they're new in business a lot of times. So take a look at those things. Manage policy audits. It's a fast way to lose a policy. One of your renewals is to have a breakdown on whether it's a work comp audit or whether it's a contractor audit. Those audits, if we don't have the revenues and the payroll correct on those, especially when you first write it, it's going to bite you later because I'll get either a big bill, or you could even get a huge credit depending on which way it goes. But when they don't comply, it's going to cause a whole array that goes in. They will do the audit for them, or in the case of workers' comp, and it won't be a friendly audit. And in other cases, they just cancel the existing policy. So there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. So manage your audits, and then ask for referrals from your renewal business clients. That's and that you need to treat them like new business in order to have the right to ask for the referrals. But that's a great source of clients. We get referrals all the time, and that tells me how we're doing. Okay, so 5 mistakes agents make with staff. So let's just say, you're an agency principal, right? And that everyone makes mistakes when you're hiring. So here are the mistakes you probably have made years ago. I used to make those, don't do it anymore. So you need to hire to duplicate yourself. And what do I mean by that? You've got to teach, you're sort of going to bring someone in to be a mini me of you. So you don't bring them in to just do one thing. You know, um, you don't want them to just answer the phones or, be a data entry person or do just customer service. They have to be involved in every aspect of the agency, everything from sales to service to, achieving the goals of your agency, right? Have them buy in. You don't want to have a low compensation program. You want to pay a fair wage, and now more than ever you have to do that because that whole arena of the minimum wage is changing, so and increasing. So you just have to be fair about that. Don't go cheap on that. You don't have to overpay, but you have to pay a fair wage in order to get what you need. Marketing. Everyone needs to be on board and understand the importance of consistent marketing. Duplicate yourself. Have anyone that you hire participate in part of the marketing process as well. I've already harped on this. You've got to have systems. And if you're not good at, find someone who is and bring them in to help set up that structure. That could be part of that. So you can actually get some benefits. You don't have to necessarily duplicate yourself in what you do, but you also can get someone who can bring some other tools to the table. And then time management is really, really important because you have to be efficient and you have to be effective. And time management is important. So that's your 5. And use the F word in business. So these really, if you're dealing with a difficult client or you're trying to communicate bad news, or you're trying to reach someone to achieve a bind order, these 3 F's are good. I know how you feel. I've felt the same way before, and so have others. So let me show you what I have found. That's making a connection, and it's binding policies and keeping your renewals is about building relationships. And this just gives you a little bit of a way to approach it that could be helpful. Okay, managing your commercial book. Let's talk about service. Well, a lot of this overlaps, right? You're looking to duplicate yourself. All employees are a part of the sales equation, right? And then work smart. Again, this is the forms and templates so that people are not reinventing the wheel. They're not at a loss for what to send out, how to do something. You've got to give them a structure to work with it. And we can help you with forms and templates. There's a lot of them on our website. And if you need something you don't see, again, please let us know. But this is really important. The people that you're learning to duplicate, have them use time management sheets to break out their time while they're at work, so that you could give them some structure, so that's not people running around with their head cut off, crazy. Use good judgment and problem solving. Problem solving skills becomes really important. Hire someone with good problem solving skills. It's part of our hiring process. Teach everyone to use the F word so that they can deal with difficult situations easier or get things accomplished easier. And then you need you want to prevent cancellations. You need a payment follow-up system. And that's really when you get a late payment notice, you get a cancellation notice, you have to have a system that you use. Otherwise, you'll lose policies, renewals for the wrong, or even new business for a really stupid reason. So we have found we use it now. We've used it for 30 years. I've been in the business, and the people that really do fail are those that don't have a payment follow-up system. And again, cross-sell. That's a great thing. Use our marketing pieces. Like, you've got an EPL. We've got an EPL piece that you could, or we have a work comp piece. If you've got the package you're renewing, send out the both of those marketing pieces with your information on it with your renewal, and make sure that you're offering all the coverages that they need, because if they have a loss, you want to make sure that they didn't select the coverage, but you need to be able to show that you offered it to them. Okay, so in a nutshell, let me know if you have any questions in reference to this, but running a commercial agency should be systematic. It really needs to have a structure, and you need templates become a really, really important part of making that efficient and effective. So let me know if you have questions. Would love to help you out in any way we can relative to writing more new business. And please visit our website so that you can see all of our products, applications, and marketing materials and templates that are available. Also, you can find all of our webinars there, and that will give you a great opportunity to attend and listen to. You can just go and rewatch any of the webinars that we've already put on, and you'll find them there as well. Jacob, who's our marketing specialist, will be sending out an email with some of those marketing tools so that you'll get an idea of, and maybe even one of our proposal templates that will give you an opportunity to see what we can help you with. All right, I don't see any questions at this time, so thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and let us know how we can help you. Bye.